Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to Buckeye Politics. It's me, your favorite Ohioan. So, for our third day of Christmas, the idea of Republican Tucker Carlson versus Democrat Jimmy Kimmel was suggested to me by Tectonicity. Tectonicity. I do not know how to pronounce your name. I'm really sorry, but it's a hard name to pronounce. But go subscribe to him. He, like myself, plays the game Star Wars Battlefront. He makes some great clips on it. I really did enjoy watching his video. So please go subscribe to him. Show him some support. So congratulations, your comment got the most likes. So I will make your scenario. The link to his channel is in the description. Go subscribe to him. Show him his support. He really does make good content on Star Wars Battlefront. So pretty epic. So we have Tucker Carlson versus Jimmy Kimmel. This was his idea. As you know, both Jimmy Kimmel is a late night. He's not necessarily exclusively political talk shows. He's the host of some very popular late night show. And Tucker Carlson, as you know, is Fox 8's pretty much main guy. He's the 8 o'clock Eastern Time news hour guy. And Tucker Carlson is mostly focused on politics, and he's very much a right wing nationalist, right wing populist. Well, Jimmy Kimmel is not really all that much focused on politics, but he's definitely your traditional Hollywood liberal. So with that, we're gonna fill in the scenario. Then this is actually a very creative scenario. I would not have expected this. I could figure Tucker Carlson would make it into the works eventually, but I did not expect him to be up against Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel kind of came out of left field, so I like it. I really do, but yeah, it kind of surprised me. So these are the safe states for Tucker Carlson and Jimmy Kimmel. Tucker Carlson would do very well in the Midwestern part of the country, I should say, making Iowa and Ohio both safe because his economic nationalism would really resonate with a lot of white working class voters. While Jimmy Kimmel is not necessarily, a lot of people would see him as an elite, sort of like Hillary Clinton, and I think he would actually underperform both Clinton and Biden in this part of the country. The safe states for Jimmy Kimmel, I kept out New Jersey and Rhode Island, actually, because I believe both New Jersey and Rhode Island would actually be likely D. So we're going to fill in the likely D states. I mean, all these states should make sense to everyone. So likely D states include states of Rhode Island and New Jersey. They also include the states of probably Virginia and Colorado will probably put as likely also. But the reason all these four states are likely is Rhode Island is actually a very white working class state. It trended very heavily for Trump in 2016, and it's very white working class. It's a lot more populous than most people realize, especially compared to states like Connecticut and Massachusetts, other northeastern states. So I think Tucker Carlson would possibly get it pretty much be about exactly 10 points. I doubt it'd be much closer than 9-10 points. Similar story with New Jersey. We see the white working class revolt in the southern part of the state against the Democrats. So I think it would probably be about 10 points. I seriously doubt it would be super competitive, but I think it would probably both states in terms of New Jersey and Rhode Island would both be around 10 points, so just barely likely. Virginia and Colorado should make enough sense. Tucker Carlson's anti-establishment rhetoric really would not help him that much in the Nova suburbs, and Colorado is pretty much trending left anyways. Tucker Carlson make up some ground with Hispanics actually in the rural part of the state, but it's not going to be enough to make it anywhere near competitive. The likely states for Tucker Carlson include states of Texas, Florida, North Carolina, and that is it. Texas, Florida, and North Carolina. Texas, do I even need to talk about it? I put it likely in every state. Florida is a Republican trending state. Tucker Carlson would do very well with Hispanics, in my opinion, because of his social conservatism, especially against Jimmy Kimmel, someone who is not exactly socially conservative. He's more socially liberal, obviously, which I think would hurt him with Hispanics. In North Carolina, Jimmy Kimmel really would not have that much appeal to Southern evangelicals. I think the Southern evangelical white vote would be heavy for Tucker Carlson. And Trump almost won North Carolina in a a red wave year in 2016. It was very close to being likely, and it's looking like 2024 is going to be a bigger red wave year. And against a pretty unpopular candidate for that part of the country, I can see Tucker Carlson narrowly making North Carolina likely. The lean states for Jimmy Kimmel include the states of Maine at large, New Mexico, and probably Minnesota. In all honesty, Minnesota would be interesting. We're actually gonna keep Minnesota out for a second. So, Maine at large, it's gonna be Jimmy Kimmel would vastly underperform in the traditionally Democratic parts of the country, the more white working class, Bill Clinton type Democrats. A lot of those people live in Maine. So, while Jimmy Kimmel would win Maine's first district by a safe margin, it would definitely trend Republican, and the second district would definitely go more Republican in this scenario, making Maine at large much more competitive than it was in 2020, closer to 2016 margins. But I think Jimmy Kimmel would still barely hold on. Similar story in New Mexico. Jimmy Kimmel would probably do pretty well with suburbanites in the Albuquerque, Santa Fe area, but the rest of the state would trend heavy for Tucker Carlson. The Hispanic trends would rapid, would be very fast, and they would continue to accelerate. So I think that New Mexico would get closer, but it'd still go to Jimmy Kimmel by about 4 to 5 points. The lean states for Tucker Carlson include states of Arizona, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Georgia's interesting. I'm not Georgia and Minnesota. I'm really not sure how to categorize. So I think Georgia would lean to Tucker Carlson, though barely. It'd probably be about a little more than a point. A lot of the traditional white suburbanites in Georgia that tend to vote Republican, they supported Mitt Romney, John McCain, but then voted for Biden and maybe voted for Trump in 2016, but then definitely voted for Biden in 2020. A lot of those people would definitely be turned off by Tucker Carlson, and with the expanding film industry in Atlanta, I also see the state trending a lot more Democrats. I'm gonna actually move Georgia down to tilt. Would probably very very narrowly go to Tucker Carlson. I think Tucker Carlson would accelerate a lot of the trends in Appalachia and the rural southern part of the state, and he also win back. He would win back some suburban voters because Tucker Carlson has more. He would definitely not be as bombastic and as bold as Trump, so he would probably be able to do decent with those voting blocks, but not all that great. So just really, if Biden was popular right now, I probably would put Georgia at tilt D in this scenario. But because Biden's unpopularity and Jimmy Kimmel really not being that likable, I do think Georgia would very narrowly go to Trump. I mean, Tucker Carlson. Probably by 2020 margins, only Republican instead of Democrat, though. So very close. Pennsylvania and Wisconsin are both very much right-wing populist states, or mostly populist, I should say. Tucker would do very well in the rural parts of these areas. Tucker Carlson would also I think, do well in the Wow counties, in Waukesha, and Pittsburgh, and the whole western part of Pennsylvania would just be heavy for Carlson. And a lot of the white working class parts, the Philly suburbs, a lot of those areas would definitely go to Tucker Carlson. So both these states would probably trend heavy Republican. They'd probably go to Tucker Carlson by about 2-3 points each, maybe even 4 in the case of Wisconsin. Arizona, similar story. It really only went blue because people there hated Trump. The Republican Party is still pretty strong in Arizona overall. So while a lot of these suburbanites, like I said, they just don't like Trump's bombastic rhetoric, and they don't like how Trump bashed McCain. So as long as Tucker Carlson didn't bash McCain all that often, I mean, he could say a few things, but really not go full in like Trump did and bash McCain. As long as he held his own and really wasn't too connected to Trump, I do see Tucker Carlson winning Arizona by a lean margin, especially in today's environment. Um, the tilt states for Jimmy Kimmel include the states of Minnesota and probably Nebraska's second district just because of anti-Tucker Carlson suburbanite trends. Minnesota would be interesting. I think Tucker Carlson would really accelerate a lot of the Iron Range trends, but Jimmy Kimmel does have some appeal to the Minneapolis suburbs, which are already trending left. So I think those two things combined would lean Minnesota definitely trend Republican, but very narrowly go to Jimmy Kimmel. While Nevada, Michigan, and New Hampshire are going to tilt to Tucker Carlson. Nevada simply because of Tucker Carlson's white working class appeal with Hispanics in Las Vegas. Jimmy Kimmel really would lose a lot of that support from Clark County and a lot of the parts of Nevada that are traditionally Democratic, that are more white working class. So I think Tucker Carlson went over a lot of those voters. Yes, the Reno suburbs are trend a little bit left, which is why I think it would be tilt, but Tucker Carlson will win in Nevada. Instead of Michigan, that's another tilt state to Tucker Carlson, similar to its neighbors in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. Michigan, Tucker Carlson would really accelerate a lot of those populist white working class area, the trends there. He would get heavy turnout among white working class voters. He'd probably flip a few counties. And Jimmy Kimmel also does not have much appeal to suburbanites in Michigan because they're more white working class. So Michigan would definitely go to Tucker Carlson. New Hampshire is interesting. I think New Hampshire would vote against Jimmy Kimmel for a few reasons, and would go to Tucker Carlson for a few reasons. The main one is how much New Hampshire hates the incumbents. So while Jimmy Kimmel wouldn't be an incumbent per se, he'd definitely be an incumbent for the same party. And with Biden's low approval rating, I definitely think there would be a lot of backlash against him. And Tucker Carlson's anti-drug rhetoric, a New Hampshire state that's really been hurt by drugs opioids, not opioids, but drugs and stuff like that, similar to Appalachia. So I do think that, and the reason it was close in 2016 was because that Trump really took a stand against those issues, and Trump kind of stopped talking about those in 2020, which is a big reason, in my opinion, New Hampshire trended more Democrat and went to Biden by the margin it did. So with Tucker really making that a big issue, and with Biden already not being popular, I do see Tucker Carlson very narrowly picking off the state of New Hampshire. So with that, this is the 2024 prediction between Tucker Carlson and Jimmy Kimmel. Comment your scenarios below. Most liked one will get a shout out, and I will make this scenario. Thank you for watching, and have a Merry Christmas.